Seoul just feels like a big college town, and you're not having these crazy adventurous weekends. You feel like you might be missing out. Hey guys, so now marks the 6-month time frame that I've been living here full-time on a work visa. Last year when I made some videos, I was here on a tourist visa. And during that time, I was here for 2 months. And back then, I started with nothing. I started from zero. And during that time, through a lot of mistakes and slowly learning how things work, I applied to some companies and did some interviews. And that's when I had my application sent to immigration. And then I went back to America for about 4 months, got it passed, and then came back here last fall. There's definitely a different feeling living here on a tourist visa when you already have just kind of an open book mindset. You're kind of just on vacation. But I wanted to talk about some of the good things and some of the bad things that may turn some people off. I don't think they're that bad. And some other things along the way that I thought were pretty surprising actually, and it took me some time to notice as well. So to start off with the good things, first and foremost, we already know this if you watched any type of travel or video from foreigners living here or visiting here even, is that it's a very safe country. Law and order is followed well here. You can walk alone late at night. There's CCTV cameras everywhere. And, you know, nothing is 100%. You don't want to test your luck every day of the year. It's always been a nice breath of fresh air because I've lived in many big cities in America that are not that. And I'll just leave it at that. For most things, the prices are reasonable for a Western person coming here. And that's not for everything, but if you're going to eat out, for sure, you go to places to eat or buy small things at convenience stores. But when I go out to eat and have other things as well, once I'm out, coffee, whatever, you don't feel like you're punished for going out to eat. And that's something that you feel often when you go out in a bigger Western country. So that's always good. Many times I'm surprised how cheap some meals are. And it's not true for imported items, so I'll get into that for the other list. Next thing is that people are nice here. You know, maybe not every circumstance people are going to go out of their way to help you or socialize. People are reserved for the most part, but there's been many times where I would ask someone for help, and I only ask for help in Korean because I don't want to challenge someone into something that they shouldn't need to do in speaking English if I'm in their land. So if I'm asking for directions, one time I was lost in a Line 1 station trying to transfer. And this guy, I asked him for help, and he actually walked out of the train. It was stopped for a while because they were doing a transfer, something for the schedule. But he left the train, walked me up the escalator, and then pointed at the signs and trying to tell me the next route, the final destination for the next train. And he didn't need to do that. He was so nice. So there's a lot of things like that where even if someone seems shy or uncomfortable, they do want to help you as long as you have good energy and not asking something that's too ridiculous. Also with that, of course, the transportation here is great. We already know this, the buses, the trains, the options you have. Those options kind of dwindle if you go out late at night, but you can still take a taxi home. Taxis are usually not that expensive. It depends where you are, it depends how far you gotta go. But it's always good to know that you can live here and not need a car to do all of your errands. Last thing I'll say is that the Korean food is amazing. There's really not any type of dish that I've tried that I just was totally turned off and would never do it again. It's pretty funny when a lot of employees or restaurant workers will say to me, are you okay with spicy food? If I'm with other friends and even Koreans, they ask me, are you okay with spicy food? And I say, yeah, I'm okay with it. I love spicy food. We have a lot of that back in America. The next thing I'll get into is some of the bad things. Now, these aren't things that will ruin your whole existence in Korea or make you want to turn your back on everything. Some imported items are expensive and kind of ridiculous. Fruit, a lot of fruit and produce is really marked high in grocery stores. I know there are some outdoor farmers market type places where you can find it for cheaper. That's how it goes. Beef and other meat products can be more expensive to the point where it's just not worth it. You just want to have their main menu items. I can't think of everything now, but once you look at the price, you're thinking, okay, this is an imported item, not worth spending this much. I'm good just not having it for a while. Next thing is, although the public transportation is amazing and organized and efficient, when it comes to rush hour, you could have a bad time. Now, there's rush hour when you drive a car in traffic, but when there's people traffic in the train stations, that's a different type of stress. Just the other day, I was at a station, but it wasn't a very popular station where people were getting off, and I finished a job right around rush hour, so it was a little after 6. And it was so full, and nobody was getting off at all at my station. I had to wait, I think, 4 stops until there was actually enough room to walk in. And even then, it's a tight fit. But sometimes during rush hour, or you got somewhere to go and you can't be picky about how you get somewhere, you got to deal with it sometimes. 2 things actually about something that could affect your lungs or whatever is now that spring started recently, we get the yearly yellow dust from China. Huangsa is the yearly yellow dust, yellow sand, yellow wind, or China dust storms. And comes every year, and I think it affected me quite a bit last year when I visited here the first time. That's when people start wearing more masks outside and inside, you know, just throughout the day. And along with that, another thing that could catch your lungs is secondhand smoke. People take frequent smoking breaks, and if it's a big group of people, you could be turning a corner, walking, you know, around the city, and there's just a lot of it in the air, and just something to be aware of. And now I'll tell you guys some new discoveries that I found after living here a while as a full-time resident. And the first one is soju. Soju is very popular here. I like soju, actually. I like mixing it with beer also for mekju. But if you don't like soju, you're gonna be around it a lot. And I like soju, but I don't like it all the time. Sometimes I just don't feel like having it on a Tuesday night. But there's always that pressure too to play along with the group. If you're with a big group or a business meeting and everyone's having it, it's the same for any type of party or gathering. You feel the peer pressure of needing to drink some sort of alcohol or drink what everyone else is drinking. And if you're trying your best to not drink any soju or alcohol, you eventually might change your mind to adjust. Another thing too is that Korea's land is not that big. You can go across the whole country of South Korea on a train. And to me, that's something I actually was envious of, because in America, at least when I was growing up, when you make a new transition in life, let's say from high school to college, or from college to your first job, or you move cities for another reason, or states, that you kind of accept the fact that you're not going to see a lot of the same people you know, or even your own family, ever again or very often. So I would talk to plenty of Koreans who have the same childhood friends they went to school with because they were born in Seoul, or even if they're in a different part of the country, they're not very far. You know, a Korean could be working in Seoul, but them and their family are from Busan. He could still see his family in Busan every other week if they want. So you don't feel like when you have a new transition in your life that you just leave everybody behind. Your aunts and uncles and cousins or old college friends are gonna be so far away in other states, and you're only gonna know each other through Facebook and Instagram. So here, I think that's cool. I think that's really cool that people live close to each other no matter where they go. The last thing I'll get into is this is something that was really hard at first because when you get here, when I got here, I didn't know anyone really. I slowly meet people, but just because you meet someone once or twice or you're around them doesn't mean they're just like an automatic connection or someone to hang out with. So when I'm talking to people, I meet people for the first time, or maybe they're talking to me on social apps. They always ask, what are your weekend plans? Oh, I have this plan and this plan and this plan. What about you? And so when they ask me, when I first got here, I was just getting to know people slowly. But if you don't have 5 or 6 different stops to make on the weekend, you feel like you're missing out on all of the fun and adventure that Korea has. And then you're gonna see people posting on Instagram or Facebook, the dinner they had and the bar they're at. Then they went to the Han River. Then they went to the North Seoul Tower. Then they went to a cool cafe with an interesting theme. And then they went to another restaurant, and now they're walking downtown or, an artsy district. And then they're on a hike. And so when you just get here and you don't really know anyone and you're not having these crazy adventurous weekends, you feel like you might be missing out. Now, 6 months in, and also meeting people from last year, I know enough people now to make plans if I want, but now sometimes I have to stop myself and stay home on the weekends so I can focus on working and maybe getting sleep for something I have the next day. But it's because everything is so accessible here. Seoul just feels like a big college town, because if you go to college, you're kind of in an area near a campus and other parts of town where you just have so many people because that's your life, is just this small area. I'd say once you get over that hump, you're not so much trying to hurry to have a good time wherever you go. Because I see myself living here for a long time, I always think, oh, that place I'll just go later. I need to focus now on working or whatever. That's all I can think of right now for the good and the bad and the other things that may not be so obvious once you come here. And I hope this helped you guys out.